Atma, Namaste, and welcome. Today we start our esoteric study group on Back to the Basics. Before we start, let's ask for divine blessings. To the Divine Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to all the spiritual elders, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, spiritual helpers, personally to my teacher, Master Chokok Sui Mahaguru Yumeling, we humbly invoke for divine light, divine love, guidance, help, healing, and divine protection. We thank you in full faith. So be it. So, welcome. Before we start our esoteric study group, why don't we just clean the aura, the chakras, so we can learn faster, all right? So, just raise your hands like this. Focus on your crown, your hands and your feet. We'll chant Om. And as you chant Om, feel the divine energy come down and just flush out all the blockages and negativity, all right? So, shall we? Take a deep breath. Om. Just be still. Allow the divine energy to clean your crown, your forehead, your ajna chakras. Your throat chakras are being cleansed. Your heart, front and back heart chakras are being cleansed. Your front back solar plexus chakras are being cleansed. Your liver, your spleen chakras are being cleansed. Your navel, your sex, and your basic chakras are being cleansed. All your channels are being cleansed by the liquid divine light. Just be receptive. Feel all the blockages be flushed out of your feet and out of your aura. So be it. All right. Let me open your eyes. How do you feel? All right, so today we will start with the very first book Grandmaster Choa recommends for us, which is Miracles through Pranic Healing. All right? Most of you have this book, the different versions. If you're just joining us, try to get a hold of the book from online or wherever the nearest Pranic Healing Center is. Anyway, they're different covers, but essentially you see the healing angel here. All right, that's going to be our book. So what we're going to do, we'll do our best to cover the basics. A lot of times people get into, more esoteric, more advanced, more spiritual, but sometimes they forget the very basic premise, the foundation of what energy is, what pranic healing can do for you. So we're going to start with chapter 1, and from there we'll pick specific topics that we're going to cover. All right, so if you have your book, go ahead and go to chapter 1, and chapter 1 is the nature of pranic healing. Now, a lot of times people ask, what is pranic healing? So we'll just go to it step by step, all right? So if you have the book, I'll just pick a few lines here and just expound on it. It says, pranic healing is based on the overall structure of a human body. A person's whole body is composed of essentially the physical body and the energy body, or what is called the bioplasmic body. And as you keep going, it just talks about when a clairvoyant looks at you, there's the physical body, right? And there's almost like a hologram called the energy body or the bioplasmic body. Now, a lot of people don't realize is you have a physical form, but there's this interpenetrating energy that flows in and out of it. That energy is where the word pranic healing comes from, which is prana. Now, it says prana or ki. So in Japanese they call it ki, in Chinese they call it chi. Like a lot of you practiced Tai Chi before. And a lot of our students are also practitioners of other traditions like the The most popular one is Reiki. So the word Reiki, Rei is universal, Ki is energy. Interestingly enough, when you study it in the Japanese characters, when you write out Reiki, if you read in Chinese, it's called Ling Qi. All right. So the word Ling is the word Ling Hun. If you talk to anybody who speaks Chinese, Ling Hun means soul or the spiritual essence or the spirit. Okay. So Ling Qi. So essentially, Reiki is spiritual energy. And of course, as you know, spiritual energy is all pervasive. That's probably why they call it universal. All right. Now, it's also been called medical Qigong. And of course, if you go to China, if you have any Chinese practitioner, they have this Qigong or spiritual energetic practice. Now, Qi is energy, Gong is the practice or the cultivation. So Qigong, my body being Chinese, let me just clarify, does not belong only to Chinese people. All right? So Qigong is the practice of using this Qi in whatever way you like, for healing, for meditation, and other practices. So any form of energy work is a form of Qigong. Now, it's just interesting that in China, they use this energy for healing, so they've coined the term medical Qigong. All right? Now, you also have psychic healing, vitalic healing, therapeutic touch. Therapeutic touch was started by Dolores Krieger, who is a very gifted person, and she was able to put this thing together to be able to help a lot of healthcare practitioners. All right? And laying on of hands, of course, a lot of you have gone to church. You've seen people pray over the sick in the name of Lord Jesus, in the name of so-and-so. You're completely healed. May you be blessed, so-and-so. So when they pray, this spiritual force comes down, goes through them. So there is transference of this chi, this life force or prana. And in the Philippines, they also call it faith healing. Of course, if you study it further, faith healing is pretty broad. It could be you're praying, you have so much faith in God or the saints, and so the healing energy comes down. So you feel better, right? It's based on faith. Now, of course, on the other extreme of that, you also heard of, faith healing, as in they do psychic surgery, where they use energy to do deeper healing. Anyway, that's not a topic for this esoteric study group. Then you have charismatic healing. It's very similar to laying out of hands, or you're at church, you sing, you become very, very receptive to God's blessing, and you feel with so much Holy Spirit, you feel this love, this joy. You can use that to heal yourself or heal other people. All right? Now, let's go to a little more on this chi or this energy or this prana. If you look at the book, message says, prana or chi or ki is the life energy which keeps the body alive and healthy. In Greek, it's called pneuma. All right? In Polynesian, it's called mana. If you remember, in the Old Testament, there's this manna from heaven that fed the Israelites where they're going to the desert. All right? And then you have ruach in the Hebrew, or the breath of life. Now, interestingly enough, in the Hindu tradition, when they say prana, another way they look at it is life's breath. In other words, you have a physical form, but without this life's breath that goes into it, the body doesn't live. All right? Now, it's interesting that if you use this energy and make somebody feel better, you go, wow, my back pain's gone, or my headache is gone, any discomfort they have, or a particular ailment that's gone, they say, ooh, that's a miraculous healing. So they call it a miracle because to everyday people who have not studied it, it sounds like something really, really fantastic and far out. But in reality, the way Masacho explained it, is actually based on inner laws that are not yet, let's say, known to the general public, but are known by people who meditate or do spiritual work. All right? Now, as you keep going, he talks about the three sources of prana. You have energy from the sun, solar prana, right? Energy from the air, which we call air prana, and energy from the ground, called ground prana. And as he goes through it in more detail, solar prana is invigorating. It's good for charging up your body, right? There are places on earth where it's not always sunny. For example, in certain parts of Europe, half of the year it's dark, half of the year is bright. And here in the United States, if you go to the Northwest, during the time of winter or fall, people say, oh, they have this thing called seasonal affective disorder, where the sun is not out, so people feel depressed. That's interesting. The concept of that has many, principles involved. So if you talk to somebody who's in charge of the physical body, like a medical doctor or somebody who knows about the physiology, they will say, oh, because the sun is not out, so therefore your eyes are not getting enough light, your pineal gland is not being stimulated, things are not being produced, certain serotonin or whatever, so you don't feel as invigorated. That's the medical side. Energetically, it's quite interesting. It's something like this. When the sun is out, the air particles, see, he talks about air prana. This air prana, in the book, he calls it air vitality globules. Just imagine that, like, there are bubbles of light packed with energy, but they belong to the air, all right? So when the sun is out, just imagine this sun is charging it with energy, so each one of them becomes more potent. So when you inhale the air, you're not just inhaling, the different gases like oxygen, nitrogen, and whatever else. Each of these air particles are now packed with energy that releases it in our body, so we feel recharged. Well, guess what? If the sun is not out, what happens? These air particles are whatever state they're in. Now, if your body needs more than what's available, what happens? And you cannot get it, your body feels tired and depressed. So this air prana is actually oftentimes charged with solar energy to give us that rejuvenating feeling. So a lot of people, they don't see the sun, they feel depressed, or they work in a closed building, they like to go out and go, oh, sunlight. That's because the solar prana is recharging. Now, one thing you have to be careful of. I remember one time Grandmaster Cho was saying, solar prana is good, however, to do intense meditation outside with the sun, a strong sun shining on you, it could actually make you super congested. In other words, your body's being recharged by solar energy, correct? And then you do intense spiritual practice when your chakras get even bigger. It's just like the cells are being overdosed. So be careful with that. It could cause congestion, it could cause headaches, overheating, and other things that are a sign of the body not being able to handle all that potent energies all in one shot. All right, so you have solar prana, air prana, and you have ground prana. So if you look at page 3, he talks about air prana, right? And then it can be absorbed by your breath. It can also to the pores of your skin. Now, interesting, he said, persons who have undergone certain training, certain forms of Qigong, what they do is this, instead of just inhaling and exhaling through your respiratory system, with intention and visualization, they also make your entire body, your skin, your pores, absorb this life force as you do certain techniques of breathing. In other traditions, they call that pore breathing, P-O-R-E. All right, be careful with that. Make sure you have a good teacher who does it, who guides you through it. Otherwise, same thing, just like doing intense meditation out in the sun, it could be overstimulating. All right, let's go to the next page. Now, prana contained in the ground is called ground prana or ground vitality globules. You might notice sometimes when you look out the window, when you're just relaxing, you're not really focusing on anything, you might see little bubbles floating around, right? Now, if they're high above the ground, these are air vitality globules. In other words, you're partially seeing these bubbles of air energy. Now, if you just relax and look closer to the ground, especially if that area is, has grass and just earth, not like concrete, whatever, you're just relaxing. Some of you might see also little bubbles, but they seem to be larger. Those are they're earth or ground pranic particles. All right. So this earth prana has many properties. One, when it's absorbed by your feet and your physical body, it keeps your physical body strong and healthy. Just think about it. Between solar, air, and earth, the earth energy, the energy is heavier. When we say heavier, it's not good or bad. It's just it vibrates lower. Now, if you look at your body, you have your blood, right? You have your tissue, you have muscles, ligaments, tendons, and then ultimately you have your bones. So you go from subtle to more dense or more tangible. Same thing. So that's why your physical body, your bones and muscles respond very, very well to earth prana. Now, you will notice children have a tendency to be, heal faster than older people, right? You also notice they grow so quickly. You also notice when people do martial arts, they ground a lot. They, root down to the earth. All of those 3 cases, they absorb a lot of earth energy. Because of that earth energy, it feeds your bones and your muscles. It causes the physical form, the dense part of you, to be stronger and healthier. Now, you also notice that When a person does not do much exercises, the body gets weak. You know why? Most of the time when you do certain forms of physical exercises, if you're bending your knees, you're compressing part of your body, you're absorbing a lot of different energies, solar, air, and earth. But guess what? Your feet, your basic chakra, your lower chakras absorb a lot of that earth prana, which keeps your physical form healthy. So take care of your physical body. As we always say, the soul uses the physical body to evolve. All right? Now, let's see. One can learn to consciously draw in more ground prana to increase one's vitality, capacity to do more work, and ability to think more clearly. Let's talk about that. Your basic chakra at the base of your spine, we'll talk about it in a subsequent esoteric study group sessions, is the chakra of productivity. When that basic chakra at the base of your spine is very, very active, guess what? There's a drive to succeed. There's the drive to get things done. All right? It also, as that energy goes up your spine, it keeps your body awake, keeps your mind clear. So when that basic chakra starts shrinking due to inactivity, you don't do much exercise, you don't do anything to make yourself more productive, so that chakra weakens. So overall, when that chakra gets small, just imagine it does not draw as much earth energy. If you want to quickly reverse it, do gentle squats, do some exercises that draw that energy up to the basic, and then it goes up to the entire body, make your body healthier. All right? Now, next one. Water absorbs prana from the sunlight, air, and ground that it comes in contact with. Plants and trees absorb prana from sunlight, air, and earth. Men, this is men, which you mean human beings and animals obtain prana from sunlight, groundwater, and food. Fresh food contains more prana than preserved food. Anyway, essentially something like this. When you drink water, of course, it depends where it comes from, right? It has basically a synthesis of solar energy and air energy, and also earth energy. So it's a combination. Now, plants, especially trees, it's basically a synthesis of solar, air, and earth energy. And the nice thing about it, it is very compatible with the human energy field. That's why some of you have heard of people who practice Qigong or Tai Chi, they like to do it outdoors next to a big tree, right? So if you just want to recharge yourself, you can just sit at the root of the tree, keep your tongue to your palate, do slow abdominal breathing with the intention of absorbing this fresh energy. Now, interesting enough, I remember a message I was saying, if your body is sick or you need energy, you sit by a tree, it recharges you. But make sure you pick a big tree. If you pick a small tree, a tiny twig, guess what? You kill it. Because, it doesn't have much energy, all right? You absorb it, or you feel better, guess what happens? It dies. So pick a big tree where it has lots and lots of energy over the years that it has actually synthesized into this energy you can absorb. Now, some of you taking the crystal healing class, and people always ask the question, they talk about different stones, different crystals, and they would ask about amber. It's like an orangish yellow type of formation that people wear as jewelry. And we always tell them, look, amber is not a crystal. However, it's a good battery to wear. When your body gets tired, you wear it, because amber comes from tree sap. It's basically the essence of the tree, right? As it flows out, that they harden. So when you wear it, it's a fresh source of energy. Now, the only thing we don't know is how long it lasts, because a crystal can be programmed to keep recharging. Amber, we're not sure yet. So, but at least if you wear it, most people, when they wear it, if they're sensitive, they feel like their body has, more energy, because it's just like having the essence of the tree. All right, let's move on. Now, the next paragraph, prana can be projected to another person for healing. Persons with lots of excess prana tend to make other people around them feel better and livelier. However, those who are depleted tend to unconsciously absorb prana from other people. You may encounter persons who tend to make you feel tired or drained. Okay, let's talk about it, something like this. Energy always goes from high to low. You learn that in physics. And I always share this in class. After it came to pranic healing, it started to make sense why, our grandmother in her 70s seems healthier and more alert than most of her friends. Well, coming from the Philippines, at least when we were growing up, you like to have many people sleep in the same room. Okay? So there was 4 of us, 4 hyperactive kids, and grandma sleeping in the same room. Now just imagine all these kids have, energy coming off them, bouncing off the walls. So at night, that excess energy, vibrating here and grandma vibrating here, the energy goes like that. So guess what? Every night, the 4 kids are recharging grandma like a mobile phone battery. So in the morning, she goes, I got lots of energy. Energy always goes from where? High to low. Now, that's because the kids have lots of excess energy. Well, the question is, what if the children don't have enough energy? Or let's say you have someone with low energy and somebody with slightly more lower energy. So even that person who has low energy, if someone is even lower energy than them, it drains out. Okay, that's one. Another thing, if you're a healthcare practitioner, you see a lot of patients every day, right? Obviously, if you're a healthcare practitioner, you're a doctor, nurse, massage therapist, any form of therapist, you try to help someone who is, quote unquote, in less good health than you are, so they have less energy than you. So if you don't know how to take care of yourself, guess what? The energy always goes in one direction. Personally, one of the reasons I love teaching pranic healing is we get to see people with good hearts. You know, they really want to help a lot of people, but they have no clue how to stop themselves from being drained or how to protect themselves. So when they come to pranic healing, you know, with massage therapists, doctors, nurses, they go, wow, now it makes sense why every time I see certain people, I feel drained and tired. Well, guess what? They learn energetic hygiene in pranic healing. So they learn how to cut the negative cords, right? How to clean the stress, energy, or negativity from other people. They learn how to recharge themselves through meditation and certain breathing exercises. So if they can make the energy level higher, they can help more people. Plus, they don't get drained and they don't get tired. Makes sense, right? Now, unfortunately, I've also seen people who don't know these techniques. You know, they enter the medical field or in the field of therapy, helping other people, in less than 2-3 years, wow, they look like they've aged 5 to 10 years. Some of you know what I'm talking about because of the energetic drain. All right, so that's why, you know, with so much passion in teaching pranic healing, because not only do you learn how to control and manage your own energy, right, for self-healing, you also learn how to help other people. And here's the secret of the whole thing: you actually get more charged and stronger as you help more people, because that healing force flows through us first. And if you know how to do it, you can actually charge yourself more every single time you help someone. And personally, I think that's fantastic. You get to help other people, and every time you help someone, I get stronger. I help more people, I get stronger. Don't you think that's amazing? It's simply knowing the proper technique to use. All right, let's move on. So I'll skip a little bit. We talked about the trees already. And interesting, at the bottom of page 4, it says certain areas or places tend to have more prana than others. Some of these highly energized areas tend to become healing centers. All right. Some of you, I know you're listening from different parts of the world, watching from different parts of the world. You know, you have places where more miracles happen, that saints appear, or certain places where the water is charged and people go in, they feel rejuvenated, right? So those places have a concentration of energy. And I know of a specific place in Joshua Tree where I remember Messenger was saying when we went there, he was saying, you notice there's a lot of energy in the ground, so we put our hand like this, and you could actually feel energy pushing your hand up. And we know of the founder of that particular school, the story was his body was sick, but every day he would just walk on the grounds, and in less than a month or 2 months, his body started healing faster. So those areas have lots of prana. Now, the opposite is also true. If you go to certain places where there's a lot of sick people, and you know whoever's in charge of that place do not know how to purify that place and increase the energy level, more people get sick and even die. I've heard stories when I got into pranic healing, where a message was saying that when you talk to certain doctors or nurses, that there's certain specific rooms in a hospital that more patients die. And if you know any like that, any healthcare practitioner, you can ask them. Most likely, they would have rumors like, "Oh, that room or that room have more people. It has bad luck. More people will die." And Grandmaster is explaining. He says, basically, what happens is for some reason those rooms, when patients go in, they release the negative energy, right? As they're recuperating, basically your body's resting, your body's expelling used up or disease energy, and you have to pull in fresh energy. Well, guess what? If those rooms don't get purified, somehow they don't clean the room energetically, the windows or do not open, the sun doesn't come in, or so on and so on, there's an accumulation of disease energy. Well, guess what? How are the patients going to rejuvenate or recuperate when they cannot absorb fresh prana and they even absorb the dirty energy that's in those rooms? That's why some of you who have taken the classes, you notice that if you have a loved one or you've been to the hospital, you take your pranic healing stuff to purify the place, right? You play Om, you chant Om. Of course, you cannot light incense because you're in a hospital, right? You visualize using certain colors. In other words, you're trying to purify the environment so that it has a high vibration, so your body heals faster, or your loved one. Now, let me add one more thing to this. Many years ago, somebody came to our house, a friend. He's pretty sensitive. He could see energy. So he went to our house, and we're talking in the living room, and he goes, "What happens here?" So I said, "What are you asking?" Because when I came in, I suddenly just saw a shaft of light in this place. He goes, "I don't know. There's something in this area." And I said, "Oh, directly above it is where I do my daily meditations." When I talk to Master Chobot, he says that's exactly the point. A lot of people have prayer rooms, meditation rooms, right? Because when you do your spiritual practice in the same place over and over and over again, that place is now charged with a lot of higher frequencies, and that place becomes sacred. Now you generate your own power center. Don't you find that amazing? So I encourage you, when you do your meditation, try to meditate in the same place. If you can even make it the same time every day, guess what you're doing? You're establishing a certain discipline, and you're packing energy in that place systematically. Once it's anchored, your place is super energized. Pretty good, huh? And it builds. So that means when that place has a lot of spiritual energy, every time you sit down, you're like starting again where you left off. So it can only build. All right, let's move on. And then on the next page, page 5, it talks about when bad weather conditions, people feel tired. We talked about that earlier. When the sun is not out, the people feel tired, right? Here's the good news. You can compensate that low energy by doing meditation, certain breathing exercises, taking certain herbs or vitamins that recharge your system, all right? And it says there's more prana during daytime than at night, obviously because the sun is out, right? And then prana reaches at a very low level at about 3 or 4 in the morning. So at that time, you better be resting, let your body, don't do too much activity, and that way your body does not try to pull more energy when there's not enough out there. Now, this is mostly for people who do not do anything else. In your case, if you do a lot of meditation and spiritual work, some people, even though there's not a lot of prana at that time, it's quiet. So they're able to do their deep meditation, even though there's not much prana for the physical body. At that time, there's stillness because it's quiet. So you compensate by that. All right, let's keep going. Next page, we're still on page 5, talks about clairvoyants or psychics. With the use of their psychic faculties, have observed that every person is surrounded and interpenetrated by a luminous energy body called the bioplasmic body. And it goes to the bottom of the page where it says bio means life, plasmic is the fourth plasma or the fourth state of matter. It's like ionized gas. So you have solid, liquid, gas, and something even higher, which is plasma or ionized gas. Now, when you put the two together, bioplasmic simply means it's energy but has a certain life-giving quality to it. All right. So to simplify the terminology, the term energy body will be used to replace the word bioplasmic body, just to make it simple. Now, you heard of Kirlian photography, where they run the current through a certain plate. They're able to see the energy around the hand or around the leaves. So that's one of the ways that at this point in time where scientists can at least prove that there's something that emanates from the body. Now, let's build on that. If you look at the next page, it talks about meridians or bioplasmic channels. Now, just like our bodies have blood vessels where blood goes through, right? You also have energy channels or energy wires. So these wires is where biocurrent goes through. Now, what I always tell people is something like this. I have a background in engineering, electrical engineering to be more specific, And we were told in electronics and electrical engineering that you have a wire. When current goes through at a certain direction, this is a right-hand rule, when current goes through in a certain direction, it forms a magnetic field that goes in this direction. All right, they call it the right-hand rule. The current goes this way, the magnetic field goes that way. Now, of course, that's for DC current, for the ones who are very, very technical. Essentially, here's the point. If you can believe that a piece of wire has current that you cannot physically see going through will produce a magnetic field, why is it so hard to fathom that you have biocurrent going through these energy channels, right? And because of that biocurrent, why would it also not produce a bioelectromagnetic field called the aura? You get the point? So a lot of people say, oh, it's so mystical. It's not based on science. Well, just because the instruments right now cannot detect it at that level yet, not to that level, they can do the whole thing, it doesn't mean it's not around. But if you think about it, it's still based on a very simple principle. As the current goes through, it produces a magnetic field. Except it's not electrical current, it's biocurrent, all right? Life current. Now, next part, he talks about prana or chi used in acupuncture and acupressure and reflexology. Essentially, you have these channels going through, and along those channels are acupuncture points. All right, this part, a lot of people don't know much about it, so let's just kind of clarify a little bit. You ask yourself a simple question. When you go to an acupuncturist, how does the acupuncturist twirl the needle? All right, so if I take a pen, essentially, if this is the needle, look at my hand. This is what they call the right-hand rule. If my thumb is pointing the direction where I want the current to go, the life force to go through, look at the way my finger curls. I'll turn the needle like this. Okay? Now, if I want to take energy out, I turn the needle the other way. So the direction of the curling of the fingers is how the magnetic field turns. So if the acupuncturists want to put energy into your body, I think they call it tonifying. In pranic healing, we'll call it energizing. They turn the needle this way. Interestingly enough, also in pranic healing, when we're projecting energy, in advanced pranic healing, we move our hand clockwise, similar to them turning it this way. Now, in acupuncture, if you want to take energy out, acupuncture is called sedating, or I've heard some say reducing. We call it cleansing. Energy out of the body. They turn the needle counterclockwise, right, to remove. Well, a lot of times when we clean, we move the hand counterclockwise. So here's the critical part. Every acupuncture point is actually a chakra. You see, in your body, we'll talk about this next on the next session, you have 11 major ones and hundreds of smaller ones. So just imagine you have the major center giving energy to the smaller ones into different parts of the body. It's just like big generator to sub-sub generators and sub-sub-sub generators. All right? So each chakra, actually, if you can see the flower like this, it turns. Yes? When it's turning this way, it's absorbing energy. When it's turning the other way, the energy is going out. Well, if you don't see the flower, you see the point. So every acupuncture point is either a major, minor, or mini chakra. That's why it matters how they turn the needle. Think about it. If it's just a point, why should it matter how you turn the needle? Make sense? All right. So that's what happens when you start understanding the deeper teachings. You start to reconcile the different traditions. All right, let's move on. So basically what it's saying in acupuncture, they use a needle to allow energy to flow better through the meridians. So the energy feels stronger, so the body heals faster. What else? He also talks about, depending on the acupuncturist, sometimes not only do they release or distribute the flow of energy, if needed, they use their energy to augment or give more energy to the client, the patient, so they can heal faster. And some people, after they do Qigong and Tai Chi and everything, have so much energy, they can heal people putting the energy through the needle. Or some Qigong masters, they just use their finger. All right, let's move on. So the two laws of pranic healing, page 7, we'll just summarize it as simple as this. You talk to any medical doctor, the doctor will confirm, yes, we believe the body tries to heal itself. Okay, when you take a headache pill, It does not really heal your headache. It basically numbs it, right? Brings down the symptoms until your body heals itself. Same thing when you take flu or cold medication. What does it do? It tries to subdue the symptoms so you're functional. But ultimately, it's the body tries to heal itself, right? Now, here's what people don't realize. Every time a process is happening, it will consume some fuel. Just like when your car wants to go somewhere, it needs to consume a certain fuel to drive the engine or the motor to move forward. Just like your body trying to repair itself or maintain a certain level of health, it is consuming a fuel. That fuel is prana or chi. So the two laws of pranic healing is, number one, self-recovery, the body tries to heal itself, and number two, the law of life force or life energy. So in order for the body to heal itself, it will consume fuel called prana or life force or life energy so the body can heal. All right? Now, he talks about it more if you're a very technical person. In chemistry, electrical energy is used as a catalyst to increase the rate of chemical reaction, right? Light can affect chemical reaction. This is the basis of photography. We know that. Electricity is used to catalyze or produce chemical reaction. In pranic healing, prana, life force used as a catalyst to accelerate healing. So essentially, it's two things. When the body is sick, its energy level is low. So certain functions in the body has difficulty moving forward. So when you apply energy, as you give some fuel, you kind of kickstart it. So you do this through what? Specific vitamins, herbs, breathing exercises, meditation, everything to what? To kickstart that engine. Now, the nice thing about this is not only are you kickstarting it, you're feeding it the fuel. So when you feed it fuel, you speed up the process. It's just like the turbine is kind of slow. You kick it to make it go faster, but not only do you kick it faster, you keep supplying the water to keep it turning faster and faster, so the body actually has fuel to heal itself faster. Logical? Okay. Now, so it says on page 8, what they call miraculous healing is nothing more than increasing the rate of self-recovery of the body. Let's talk about it a little bit. It doesn't matter what kind of healing technique you do. Essentially, every healing modality is using this universal life force, right? Putting it into the body a certain way so the body has now the ability to kickstart itself and have more fuel to heal faster. So essentially, when you and I are healing, we're not really healing them. You're just giving them the catalyst, giving them the fuel so the body can heal itself faster. All right? Now, of course, different healing modalities use different techniques of doing it. It's just like you have the same destination. Some people take a boat, some people take a plane, some people take a car. And some people are more technical. Some people say, whoa, I'm not that technical, so, I'll do something where I pray and let the energy flow. So in pranic healing, we attract a lot of people who are very mental, right? They want to know what is the mechanism that makes it work. What is the principle? What are the techniques I can use? So you become a conscious channel of this healing force. While in other traditions, they also try to help someone, but they're not as technical. So they basically just allow the spirit or the energy to flow through them. Every healing modality has one objective: make someone better. So it's just in pranic healing. Master Cho being an engineer, and that's why I love about it, is I was an engineer too. So I started, it's interesting. This is how the energy goes in. This is how it works. This is how the body heals. Now, let me add one more thing to that. Just because a spiritual healer does not consciously do the healing, as in it's being healed through them, right? The healing energy is flowing through them and they're producing the miracle, does not mean that there is no process. That's when Master Cho explained that time. He says, they've looked at spiritual healers. When they're healing infection, green light comes out of the healer's hand. When they finish healing, some healers, they do certain rituals that either they flick their hand or they spit or whatever. And if you ask them what they're doing, they don't tell you. They say, no, nothing's happening. But when the clairvoyant look, they notice that, when they spit, it's just like they partially absorb the dirty energy and they spit it out. When they move the hand a certain way, it's actually releasing negative energy. Or when they're doing certain movement of their body, they're actually bringing in more intuition so they can know what's wrong with the patient, and so on and so on. And guess what? They also noticed that, I remember Massachusetts saying that they were observing a healer, a preacher at church, healing the sick. That column of light came down the person's crown, flowed to the minister, and then brilliant light went to the person's body. You see, if you ask the minister, that minister has no clue. They just say, oh, I don't know any technique, I just pray. But just because they're not conscious does not mean there's no process. So I'll leave you with one thought. If you can know what the process is of these people who produce miracles, what if you can duplicate or replicate the process? Is it just possible? You can also duplicate the miracles. That's what pranic healing does. So in level 1 pranic healing, which we call basic pranic healing, you use white light. In advanced pranic healing, we use color, because every time the body absorbs this white light, we'll cover this when we talk about the chakras are multicolored. In other words, those are the innate colors or frequencies that the body uses to kickstart and heal itself. So for example, if the basic chakra is weak, that means the 3 colors it has, red, orange, and yellow, some of them, or the ratio of it, is low. So when the body needs some heat, or body needs some physical strength, there's not enough red. Or orange, it does not have enough orange to expel blockages. Or yellow, which is the color of your bones, if it's not enough, then the bones are weak. Well, guess what? When we project white light, that chakra absorbs the white light, breaks it down, takes in the red and orange and yellow that it needs. Makes sense, right? So the question is, what is advanced pranic healing? In advanced pranic healing, based on what Master Cho saw, and with the help of many advanced clairvoyants, and watching a lot of these spiritual healers or miraculous healers do, every time they're healing broken bone, yellow light comes out, yellow prana comes out. Every time the body is very weak, red energy comes out, and so on and so on. So the reason it's called advanced is the homework has been done for us. For this element, and this element, these are the colors needed by certain chakras. If you can provide those, just like these miraculous healers do it, guess what? You just duplicated the miracle. So that's one thing that I'm very, very grateful for, is to understand the process and be able to use that process so you can heal more people, help more people more effectively, including yourself. All right? So that's pretty much, that's chapter 1. On our next session, chapter 2, we'll go into more detail about the energy body, the different layers of the aura, what is the purpose, and what it does. Okay, so I would recommend you read this chapter again, and I should watch this video and study it further. And when we go to chapter 2, we'll dive more into the energy body and give you more details. All right? So other than that, let's give thanks to the Divine Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother. We thank you for the great, great blessings. Personally, to my teacher, Master Cho Hoksui, Lord Mahaguru Jimeli, and all the high beings, spiritual elders, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, spiritual helpers. Thank you all for the blessings of love, light, guidance, help, healing, protection. We thank you. In full faith, so be it. All right. So thank you very much. I know it was very, very technical, but I think a lot of you, know about it already. We just kind of try to put it all together here for you. So stay tuned for part 2 of the Esoteric Study Group on Back to the Basics. Atma, namaste. Thank you very much for joining us. Please leave your comments. We'd like to hear from you. And thank you very much for donating to keep this ministry free. We'd love to reach as many people as possible, especially the ones who are new. They're just getting into it. We'd like to educate them like the teacher has educated us, so we can be more effective instruments to help other people. All right? And a lot of you who are watching are from different parts of the world. Here we are in the U.S., so please go join your healing centers, take a class so you have the actual experience. We can only do so much here online. We'll do our best to make it experiential, but it does not really replace trying to work with someone in a class, practicing, have a qualified instructor, certified instructor teach you, guide you, and kind of make adjustments in your technique so you'll be more effective. All right? So anyway, leave some comment here, and thank you again for your generous contribution. And what else am I forgetting? I think that's it. So stay tuned. Look on the website. We have a lot of different videos, a lot of information to help you on your spiritual path. Atma Get, Atma means soul. Atma, namaste. You guys take care. Bye.